I'm like ready to ARPG, but like this ain't it. This is actually the first league that I'm like quitting early. Yeah, I'm quitting. I'm done.
The Necropolis League is in full swing, and although the quality of life changes and streamlining of some endgame mechanics have landed really well with the community, there is one glaring part of this league that has caused an insane amount of upset online, to a point where, as of recording this video, Necropolis is the league with the least amount of retention in the history of Path of Exile. So what went wrong exactly? Let's start by exploring the terrible retention. Put simply, people are quitting the game way faster than in any previous leagues, and it's not clear why, so we have to make some assumptions. It would be really easy for us to look at the numbers and blame the game, where there are some external factors that we need to take into account. The weekend of release was Easter weekend, with Easter Sunday, where a lot of players might have needed to travel, which could potentially explain the dip in player count. Although when you cross-examine this theory with global SteamDB stats, similar games don't show lower peaks during the same period of time. So we can't be 100% sure either way. One of the most glaring issues that pops into mind is the mandatory aspect of the new league mechanics. As opposed to previous leagues like Affliction, where a player could run past a Twisted Burrow portal and only interact with it in the endgame, here in Necropolis, the Lantern of Aramor is turned on at all times and impacts every instance in the game, adding modifiers to mobs and making them in some cases extremely deadly. This isn't so bad if you have a little patience during the campaign, but the hardcore community is definitely seeing this as a huge problem. These mods are just always on, always buffing enemies, and unfortunately not giving equivalent rewards to the players. As Dadgar said on Reddit, quote, "Putting the most insane mods we have ever seen on rares without any loot reward. What could go wrong?" But is there something wrong with this mechanic itself? Well, maybe not. Having to move mods around on packs of mobs while doing maps could potentially be interesting, and some players do actually like it so far. The problem here doesn't lie in the mechanic itself, I think. It lies in the fact that you just can't decide not to interact with it. Some players jump back into PoE during leagues because they want to be part of the community and the new economy and the hype that flourishes during the first few weeks of a league. And if they don't vibe with these mechanics, they can just decide not to interact with them, while still playing the game and getting the most out of all the points I've mentioned. In Necropolis though, if you don't like it, well, it's too bad. You're going to have to deal with it for 3 months. And I think people are bouncing off that quite hard. So as I mentioned earlier, let's try and find a solution here. I think the most obvious one would be to make the league mechanic optional. It would align with how GGG have done things in the past and allow players to go at their own pace without getting destroyed by Roas and the Mudflaps when they forgot to check the Lantern of Aramor. My 2 cents would be that when you click on the zone or a portal, you go in without modifiers, without it being activated basically. But if you click on the lantern before you go in, it activates the Necropolis League mechanics and those modifiers with it. Something like that. What do you think? Okay, we've covered the lantern now. Let's talk about something that has come up a lot during my research. The absolute necessity of a third-party tool to get the most out of grave crafting in Necropolis. It's a lot to take on. DS Lily on YouTube made a great video explaining her pros and cons, and one thing that came up and struck me and reflects the thoughts of players online is the sheer complexity related to the crafting mechanics in Necropolis and the fact that you don't get much in return. When we think about third-party tools, we've got Awakened PoE Trade, PoE Vault, Maxroll, Ninja, and hundreds of guides on YouTube. And these tools thrive because in most cases, they are a necessity to navigate the murky waters that the game puts you in. I would even go as far to say that these tools are vital to your enjoyment. And if you disagree, did you learn the mechanics by yourself or did you follow a guide? Let me know in the comments. And GGG have gotten away with this reliance on third-party tools for years now, to the point where I don't think explaining the mechanics in-game is a priority for them anymore. And you could say that this is for players to thrive by discovering the mechanics themselves. But in some cases, this burden of knowledge can prove to be too much, and players do quit early, and I think Necropolis is our best example so far, especially when it comes to crafting mechanics, right? Like grave crafting, which in my opinion is complicated at best and inaccessible at worst. Tweaking mod weights on a craft is just a lot for not much result in my opinion. As Bob the Monkey on Reddit says, Quote, "We need a genius to make a corpse calculator for the best results. As it stands, it's too overly complicated for the average player. You got to use Craft of Exile to figure out exactly how many corpses to put into a craft. It seems a bit much, honestly." So what do the geniuses of Path of Exile have to say about this? Well, Grimro made a fantastic guide for the new crafting system on YouTube, and he had this to say about the new mechanic.
Crafting. But I will go on record and say that I don't really think it's possible to make an excellent or even outstanding or even let alone good item with the mechanic without a reasonable understanding of how it all works, and also without using Craft of Exile. Yep, it's another one of those leagues. I consider Necropolis crafting to basically require the use of Craft of Exile if you want to make something which is good in a reasonable fashion. So that is what it is. It's another league where you have to use an external website and source. It's pretty much nigh impossible to get any deterministic way of understanding exactly what the modifiers are going to do without using Craft of Exile. So, yep, that's going to be explained in this video as well. But the Necropolis.
He also mentions in his video how he got most of his knowledge before the league started by watching and studying a dev interview with Zazarin, where they broke down this new mechanic. So what if you aren't subscribed to Zazarin? How does that wall of complexity hit you? And because of how murky it is, would you stay and put in the work? And the comments of that video reflect what I'm talking about here. The spreadsheet goblins are excited to peel back the layers of this mechanic, while the rest, not so much. So how do we fix this? Well, it's a tough one. And to be honest, I'm just not the one who is going to come up with the best solutions, because I'm still studying how basic crafting works in this game, and boy am I trying. That being said, I think GGG could rework the UI a little and potentially buff the crafting results. A lot of players are trying their best at engaging with the mechanic, spending hours farming corpses and such, only for Aramor to craft the most busted items possible. Feels bad, man. As a Path of Exile player who focuses on trying to get new players in the game, I wish that GGG would put some more effort into making that noob experience a little more welcoming without having to rely on all these third-party tools. In a way, I understand that GGG might not want that. Everything I've experienced so far leads me to believe that Path of Exile is nearly exclusively for hardcore min-maxers. I'm just trying to carve a little nook for us more casual players, I guess. I feel like if GGG had released a proper tutorial that would explain how to succeed at crafting with the corpses, the community might have been a little less upset. But why would you do that if you know your community will make these guides for you? Now, it's not all bad. The Lantern of Aramor has blessed many of us with some great mods, but they seem to be far and few between. And the changes around the scarabs are actually really good. Not to mention those T17 maps look insane. And the novelty of the crafting was fun to discover during my streams. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch, by the way. Look at all the good stuff you're missing. When I call her though, she wants to, "Hey guys, hi. How's it going?" You get to see my feet. I'm not giving feet pics for free like this. So what do you think GGG should do to remedy these leak problems? How do you feel about them? Let me know in the comments. If a GGG dev stumbles upon this video, I want the comment section to be a wealth of good ideas rather than a cesspool of complaints. Let's try and be helpful. Ultimately, we all want this game to do great, and we can be part of that solution. For my part, GGG, my 2 brain cells can only handle so much. Give us approachable crafting like Harvest. Grave crafting feels a little psychotic at the moment. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you guys are enjoying this league, no matter what the community is saying online. The important part is that you're having fun. As usual, socials are in the description. Links to all the videos I've mentioned are in the description also, so go check them out. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.